Good morning. It's me and Goo, and I'm going to talk about the Light and Dark Dragon SP, Greygnarl and Barbarus, along with Dragon Quest IX overall quickly, and I'll have a much more in-depth review a little later. So stay tuned. All right, real quick before I go over Barbarus, I will have the Dragon 9 review probably up Saturday. I just am a little busy right now, and with the 4th of July holiday weekend, I'll be able to get most of that done during that time. So I'll be a little late with that, and I do apologize, but say la vie. All right, so let's go first, and we're going to first go with Barbarus. So Barbarus here is a dragon, attack base, Sam breath damage plus 20%. This is going to be a Sam unit. Very interesting. I'm going to be quite honest. Very, very, very strong on Sam, but only Sam. What instances is the best word I can say. But anything that's weak to Zam. So if your arena or guild war team is against that you're going against weak against Zam, Barbarus is just going to make him that much stronger. But if they are not weak against Zam, this unit is basically worthless. So let's go. Darkness Rising Power reduces damage by 15%, increased breathing power by 50% for turn. This is a absolute wonderful skill. The Dark Dragon randomly deals 75% Zam physical damage 4 times and reduce Zam resistance for 3 turns. The only thing you're going to really be using this in all honesty is to try to reduce their Zam resistance so that Runus magic inflicts Zam breath damage to all enemies will be stronger. Um, but more than likely, turn 1 you're going to be using direct Darkness Rising Power. Turn 2 is Runus Magic, and you're just going to absolute pound. Awakening skill, increased attack power is worthless in this unit, to be fair. The Dark Dragon, yeah, you can use the physical damage it does increase. And it does have some power, but personally, I like using Darkness Rising Power. The reduction of 15% damage is key here, with the increase of breathing power 50% for the next turn, which makes Ruinous Magic truly ruinous. But it does increase movement for 3 turns at the start of odd turns until turn 10. So it goes from turn 1, 3, turn 4 can move 4. So all in all, it is actually a pretty good moving unit for honestly what you're going to be using it for, which is PvE versus Zam specific, and you're not going to. This unit's not really designed to go beyond turn 10, anyways, and the PvE that you're going to have is probably not going to last that long. In an arena, this is just perfectly fine. You get Zap and Zam 2 and 4. Third one, though, here is the really interesting one. This is where Barbarus can actually be stupidly powerful. If your HP drops below 50, you get HP healed and breath power increase for 3 turns, and Ruinous Magic goes up +5. This is if you time it correctly with like Darkness Rising Power, you can get yourself under 50%. All of a sudden, Ruinous Magic, especially if they're weak against Sam, turns into something that you could just see absolute destruction window. The big is not quite Jessica levels of dang, but very, very close, especially when theoretically you can actually do it twice with that huge damage, or, 2 times with just a little less damage without having to use Darkness Rising Power again. But it is a very strong unit, especially if you build a team. And when I fight Guild Wars, generally, what I try to do is bring 3 very strong attackers, and I bring a healer. Right now, it's still Seraphy. My boy Terry's just not strong enough to um, be the main one right now. But if I could get him just a little stronger, I'd switch. Barbarus can be very well used, but once again, he is very niche. And the last one here is Runa's Magic 5, and MP recovery small. It's actually useful for him, the MP recovery, because the Darkness Rising power, you can just cast it, and it kind of is free at that point. Personally, I do think Barbarus needs the Third Awakening to really unlock its power, but it's very, very niche. So this is not really a great unit to truly focus on. Stats, though, is pretty good. Its big weakness is its defense. It does have very high attack, 556 for the Dark Dragon. And so, the randomly is okay. Does okay damage, especially with this increased attack power. But personally, you're going to be using his breath damage. I think that's where his true unlock is. But you can use his attack. He does have very high attack as well. MP 427 is a little low. That's why the MP recovery is somewhat important. But when you're really thinking about it, you're really trying to use its Ruinous Magic twice, and it's the buff up twice. That's going to be roughly 240, as long as you get it to level 130, which you need to do with breath units. It will be able to do it twice. Getting our weight up to 5 will allow you to do it 4 times, or 3 times, really, sorry. But in all honesty, that's what you're going to get with Barbarus. If it's a very consistent Zam damage, you're just really not going to get it. Its agility is good at 433, though. That movement is quote-unquote 2, but remember, if you awaken it once, and Barbarus needs to be awakened multiple times. If you have it once, it does get 3 on the first turn and 4 from turns 3 to 12. So it is very, very mobile, even though this movement only says it's 2. So theoretically, its movement is 2, but for all intents and purposes, it's at least 3 for at least the first 13 turns. Its preferred weapon is going to be a new weapon that's going to be in the Dragon Quest IX, the Make Your Wish Come True event. Dark Dragon Claw. It's an agility plus 17, attack plus 11. Has Zam attribute power plus 2%. Barbarus. You're going to want to use the Zam attribute all the time, anyhow. And it's built for it, so you're going to try to use its skills, and you can give agility. Nothing really all that surprising here. The preferred skills, honestly, this is really, really tough. Blunt, with its skill that it can increase its breathing power, you could theoretically argue that as long as it's not leader, it has its own buff with Zam damage as well. You could add any other element, including Zap, for its breath damage to give it more element coverage. Honestly, though, in all honesty, you're not going to really use him for outside of just pure Zam damage, so there's no real point. But once again, if you do have Barbarus and you don't have a lot of other really powerful units, especially if you're beginning to play, you do get Barbarus. It's a good unit, just not great if you've got a large amount. And if you want to do other learned skills, go ahead, do another elemental breath damage. And obviously you can then make it at least useful in things when Zam is not its greatest strength. Pro cons. Zam, bam. Will absolutely destroy anyone who's weak against Zam. And also, I really like the Third Awakening for Breath. The first one increases attack. I don't think you're going to use that attack nearly as much as you're going to use that Breath. But really, really focused, hyper focused on an element, has its pros for that. Its cons, though, is because it's hyper focused on that. It only can be played for that element. That's okay, though. It's got very, very good there. It also can change, give you that Zam bonus with the 20% up and down. But personally, I am going to be focusing on Corvus in this banner. Uh, I will go a little bit for Greygnarl, which I'll talk about. I think Greygnarl is the better one of the two. But if you do get Barbarus with the tickets, especially if you can get multiples, then you're doing good. It's got a very powerful skill base. Just need to make sure it's useful for Sam. That's all you got to do. Otherwise, though, no real big issues here. It is a powerful unit. It's just highly Zam. It buffs itself and others with Zam 2 for damage. You'll see clears on hard level stuff when the unit is weak to Zam that Barbarus is going to be absolutely clinical, but unless if you are willing to spend money, I would not say that it is something that you should focus on. It's too niche, but I honestly do hope I get one. And with the 1.5, I hope it's in the banner or that we have more chances of getting this. I would love to have this unit. There's a lot of skills that you can use for this unit, but unfortunately, there are other better units coming out there. And Greygnarl is one of them. Literally the opposite to Barbarus. Greygnarl is Zap. It's Zap power. Its first awakening skill just gets it movement +1 and 20% breath power. Honestly, I think that's a better overall first one for the awakening skill in general. But this one has is all breath damage here. Um, so it really powers it up better. Um, Second's Crackle, fourth is Zap. And the Greygnarl for the third one here restores MP and greatly increases breathing power effect for the third turn. So it's basically going to be a turn 3 clear unit or turn 3 massive damage. Probably going to try to do Lightning Breath turn 2 to lower the zap resistance and then use the third one. And the last one is Lightning Breath +5 and restore HP when attacked by enemy. So that is a really nice skill, especially for its stats. But that requires a lot of luck or a lot of spending. And it is, I think, a superior unit in just overall use compared to Barbaros. But I do like Barbaros for Sam specifically. It will shine with darkness, while Greygnarl shines with bang. Zap damage, sorry. Stack Breath is the first one, just does breath damage to all enemies, not elemental. Useful. Second one, Great Fireball. Inflicts great breath damage with Sizz. One unit. Does do a pretty good job there. Then Lightning Breath. Zap breath damage to all enemies and occasionally lowers zap resistance for 3 turns. Excuse me. That one's the one I think you're going to use the most. Great Fireball, though, does actually do more damage to one enemy. Remember, if you get the first Awakening skill, it adds 20% damage to it. I think the kit's just more versatile as well. The leadership effect is that breath damage +20%. So if you put it leader and you're using it, that's good. But let's continue. Its stats, though. Remember the fifth awakening. HP heals when it's attacked. Its defense is 527, which is pretty incredible with its HP at 1328. It's also incredible. This is a unit that is very hard to kill. Its agility is 467 on top of it, so it has good movement with movement of 3. Its attack is low at 295, but honestly, who cares? This is a breath unit. Its MP is 462, which is a little worrisome because it only, even the best that you can do here is most of these skills are in the 80s and once up to 88. The best you can get down to the 70s. So you're looking at 5 or 6 skills before it completely runs out of gas. This is its great weakness, considering, but honestly, it's not a huge weakness. Everything else, though, is very well designed. His preferred weapon is the Light Dragon Claw. Duh. Breath power plus 2% on top of it. You can get Lightning Breath, Great Fireball, MP. MP plus 11, attack plus 13. I think you can even get Breath power on this thing. It's another Dragon Quest 9 event. Very, very good weapon for Greygnarl. Preferred learn skills. I've got Blunt. Once again, Greygnarl can actually use any other type of breathing damage as well, especially since you've got already Sizz and you've got Zap. You can add Zam, you can add Frizz, you can add Crackle as like the three that would be really, really good. And I would just go ahead and actually go with Breath as well. I just didn't put it here mostly because there's just too many breath skills that you can use. Just give him another breath skill, honestly, or blunt, because once again, his defense. But in all honesty, almost any unit in this game can really use blunt to its advantage, especially if it's got good defense. But for Greygnarl, let's stick more with the actual breath skills. And as I say, we can go with those, but there's just so many of them, I didn't want to list them here. Procon's pull, this is a very strong sap based unit, but I'm also going to say it's a very strong dragon breathing unit in general. It's got great stats, especially high durability, and after the third awakening and fifth awakening too. Zap Breath is still a bit rare, but will be probably more useful in the future. So, with the way that we've been getting for breath teams and dragons, and they've been giving us more and more dragons all the way through, I do expect that Greygnarl is actually going to get better. Um, the leadership effect is a little hard to use right now. I'm only going to say a little. You can actually equip other units that have it, and you still have some units that have Zap Breath. So this is a very small con. The other con you could probably give is that it's limited to 5 to 7 skills, but I don't think that's a fair con. I think Greygnarl is really more designed for PvP type roles than true PvE. So we'll just go there. And will I pull? No. Corvus is what I'm going to be going through, and I'll go through that in the DQ 9 event as well. But this, I think this is a much better designed dragon than Barbarus. But in all fairness, we do need units like Barbarus in the game. Focusing on elements is something that is going to be very, very useful for Guild Wars, especially, but PvP in general. There's usually a way a lot of teams are built. They're usually weak around one element. Usually it's not Zam though, but from the overall damage, I think that they have a lot of uses for this, and it's always good to have element specific units for PvP because there's always a weakness to the defenses that are made. And if you can exploit those weaknesses, you can really score very high, even on top end teams. The summon units for both Greygnarl and Barbarus is Axolhotl. And I'm only going to say that once. Otherwise, I'm probably going to be swearing. Its stats are actually pretty decent, but I'm going to be honest. The main use for this is not the stats, but let's just go through it. It's got great HP for a unit at 1048. Defense 361 is decent, along with the attack of 458. Its agility is a little slow though, 356 with a movement of 2. Its MP is 290, which is overkill for what you're going to be using it for. Its first skill is Tackle, which does 110% physical damage and moves up 2 squares. I'm not a huge fan of that one, other than to get into. It will be a little helpful because it is slow movement that you can bring it up if you can reach something bring it closer to the battle. But I don't like that it's got good stats for an A unit, but for most times you're going to go have A units versus S units, and that's just not a fair fight. So it's hit and miss there, but it does have its uses for its lack of movement. But what you're really going to be using is for Frizz Force. So there's a new thing in this game, and all of these units have it, just depending on their units. But this one can actually cast it on others. Frizz Force is 20% extra frizzle damage and damage reduction. So when you see Frizz Force or Sizzle Force or any other element force, if you can cast it, it gives 20% extra at that element damage and damage reduction. So if a unit is weak to Frizz and does Frizz damage, then Frizz Force is an incredibly powerful tool because you can do 20% extra damage to that unit and receive 20% less damage if it uses that Frizz damage. And that is a very powerful ability. And so having one of Axolhotl, even though I just lied and said I wasn't going to say it more than once, is actually a really good thing, even if you just have them at Zero Awakening, because you can honestly just cast Frizz Force, send all the rest of the units out there, and have that trail behind. And it is very, very useful, and it's got great range as well. You're just going to add another attack skill with one of the other elements. Personally, I think I choose Crackle. But this is just a very unique ability to for protect and actually cast on units here. It has low mobility and low range for its main attack, which is Frizzle Slash. Sorry, but it can tackle and move up, which does give it a little bit more mobility. But it is something that you do need planning to, and if a unit is very highly mobile, it will not chase very well. So these banners are starting to introduce new elements to the game, which now will also, as I say, right now we don't have enough to really start worrying about a whole lot. But personally, one thing that I would be a little worried about, especially if you're going to be doing guild wars, so make sure that you're not super weak against Zam. If you're going against a very high tier guild, there's going to be someone with a very strong Barbarus, and they're going to take on teams that are Zam weak. Even the strongest ones, they will be torn apart. And also, if you're weak against Frizz, or if you're highly damaged using only Frizz, Axolhotl is a great counter to those as well. So we're going to have to really focusing on start at that here, but it will pick up more steam in the next month or two. Because right now you've only got to kind of avoid some of that, which I'll be honest is a bit hard. But my team build is not really the most imaginative, mostly because I have some 5 hearts. I'm obviously going to put those out there. But the nice thing that I like is I cover all elements, and I'm weak against all elements. So it's very hard to exploit me completely by elements. But you could still do that anyways with the proper positioning of your unit. So once again, it's just one of those things that you can start using that to your advantage as well. So I hope you guys enjoy. As I state, I promise that I will have the Dragon Quest 9 out before the 4th of July is over. I'm probably going to start working on that tonight. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I will see everyone.